everyone, and thanks so much for coming. I'm so happy to see so many of you here already. Please go ahead and write in the chat where you're coming from. We love to get an overview of where everyone's here from. London, Toronto, Florida, Manchester, people from all over. I love to see that. Well, it is the top of the hour, so I'm going to go ahead and get started now. My name is Sandra Grauschop, and I'm the Customer Marketing Manager here at Loxo. I'm here today with Matt Chambers. He's our CEO at Loxo, and he's going to be telling you about a new revolutionary way we have to source called natural language search. We are going to have a short Q&A at the end. Please keep your questions generic and applicable to everyone. If you have questions about your specific account or specific searches you've been running and could use some help with, please do reach out to support@loxo.co. They'll be happy to help you. If you have questions that you'd like to have an answer to, please use the Q&A section of the webinar. In the Q&A, you'll be able to upvote each other's questions. So if you see a great question, go ahead and vote it up. Amabir, Palmer, and Natalia are also here with me today, and they'll be helping monitor the chat, talking with you, answering any easy questions that we can answer before we get to the end. I'm so happy to have you here, and I'm looking forward to hearing about natural language search from Matt. So with that, I'm going to turn it right over to him.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, Sandra. And yeah, pleasure to spend some time with everyone today. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day. And it's a real privilege for all the customers that are here and potential customers, and just help educate each other on this exciting new capability. So we'll jump into it. What I would like to do before we're going to walk through specific examples today. And a takeaway that I hope I can lead everybody with are some actionable best practices that you can put in place right away. And along with that, obviously we're not here in real time, but I start with a question is in terms of for everybody is kind of challenge you all. We as humans often overcomplicate things, and your business is recruitment. And so a question I would ask is, where do you generate the most value in your business and truly generate the most value? And some people could comment in the chat if you want, but that should be obvious. And it's through making placements. That's what you're hired to do, right? And our job, people often ask, what Loxo is. I think that's really important. A part of NLS and our evolution as a company and platform and partner to what you're doing is to help you make more placements, more hires faster. It's about workflow and a more efficient, superior way to hire. And that's really important. And that's a differentiator in terms of how we built this and the vision, why it's happening now, and why we know and it should be impacting how you're doing from a day-to-day with your clients. So the reason why it's not easier or faster to accomplish that specific goal. I always talk a lot about current state, future state, and how you historically have been recruiting. Recruiters, you all love LinkedIn and filtering, and you've been kind of conditioned on that. Your legacy ATSs, if you're still on one, or you're trying to explore AI solutions, you can't even search, right? And so fundamentally, what natural language search is, I'll kind of unpack that, but it's an established concept in computer science for information retrieval. And information retrieval is just search. And we all know search is like one of the most important things, right? You have a database of people, you get hired to go find the right candidate. And so now you have this massive database of, hopefully you have access to a massive database of candidates to filter through, right? And the faster you can get through that to find the right fit, the faster you get to your goal, which is making a placement. So we're going to go through that. And the current state, the way that everyone has been doing that for years, is how you feel comfortable, but we all understand it's not fast and efficient. You go through, I'll share my screen. You go through filters by titles, or those of you who are advanced in Boolean search queries, that's amazing. We're going to actually talk a little bit about Boolean, and you should leverage this. But something that's super important to understand is that there's no silver bullet. AI is not going to replace recruiters. You guys, hopefully some people have heard this. However, recruiting organizations and recruiters that leverage AI will absolutely dominate this space where we're going. And you all, that's why you're here. That's why you're investing in yourself. You're investing in these tools. Jump in, don't be afraid of it. But along with that, and I'll even show this an example, is you have to be open-minded and willing to kind of change some of the legacy ways of doing things. And if you don't, that's fine. It's just you're going to have competitors that are moving a lot faster. And ultimately, this is not about speed. We all know it's about getting to the efficacy, the highest possible, quality of hire for each client. And that's really what drives, and that's what a lot of you are so passionate about. Let me show some examples here. One thing I want to note too, since we have each other for a little bit of time today, is Loxo still gets referred to as a like the best ATS in the market, the best ATS CRM for recruiting agencies, search firms, professional recruiting organizations specifically. And one of our customer partners actually posted a great post on LinkedIn the other day, and they were saying, like, help me understand. I don't get it. There's such a huge buzz and thirst for AI and AI sourcing solutions. And every time he's demoed all of them, and he goes around, he tries them, he plays with them, and he's like, help me understand. Loxo has a better built-in AI sourcing solution and product right inside the platform. And so I'm hoping that also as part of this, we can help educate each other. And again, you'll understand why having it all in one system with one workflows is a part of how you move much faster, more efficiently, and get to your goal and your outcome. So with this, we'll jump into a couple examples. I'm going to share my screen. All right. And we're actually going to do some all over the globe. So those of you obviously customer partners, you already understand Loxo, and some others, this will be your first exposure to it. That's wonderful as well. So one thing we're really passionate about at Loxo is obviously the end-to-end platform, having it all in one workflow. And we have invested 13 years in bringing this to market, and we're really excited. For those of you who don't know, we went from like 60-ish employees to 115. We'll be at double that here in a year. And what's fascinating about this and why I'm sharing this is because now we have VPs and directors and entire teams focusing on each product we have. And that's really important. And there's even people that are concerned about, well, OpenAI's announced some type of sourcing tool, and will that take over Claude or Anthropic or some of these LLMs? And it won't. You don't have to worry about this. It's the same reason why LinkedIn or Google, that's not their core business. Our core business, our core focus is building the best in class, state of the art, bleeding edge software for recruiting professionals. And it can get complex. You have lots of solutions in one system. And so everything we do is built around simplifying, making it faster and easier, and doing a lot of less clicks, a lot of things behind the scenes. And so that's really important. That starts with the very first page. And so the first example I'm going to do is senior product manager. And I'm just going to show you with a really simple, concrete example of an approach that you would use. So you start with the title, you start with a hiring company. I'll just use Loxo for the purposes of today. And we're a remote culture, so we'll hire people all over the globe. And now you're going to see this new natural language search prompt. The difference between other solutions, again, the traditional way is that you're going to you get a new search and you all have your own methodologies. And I'm going to walk through a different one here in a second, like market mapping. But you have to start somewhere, right? And titles are a problem because immediately you have senior product manager. You have a job description, hopefully you've created or your hiring manager has provided. But we all know some of those are copy pasted from the internet. They're not relevant. They don't really give you a lot of specifics around the culture, what you're looking for, or what's most important. So a key part of this is, again, why AI is not going to automate or replace recruiters. You have to use your brain and strategy. Our job is to give you the tools in the toolbox to use the right tool to solve your objective. And you have to use a combination. And the workflow allows you to do that really quickly. So for this specific example, what I'm going to do is something really simple. Let's say that we're talking with, or for Loxo, we're trying to hire, find a new product manager who's very experienced and who's done something remarkable. They have lots of experience, hands-on experience, for example, building something that would not ever show up in a job description. I mean, you could put this in a job description, but how would you ever create a Boolean string around somebody who's brought to market a mobile app with over 1 million installs? But you would create a Boolean string that says brought to market mobile app. I mean, we could try that and show you, you'll probably get 5 people on the planet, right? And so that's really difficult. What NLS does and why this is such a remarkable tool is it uses state-of-the-art AI. Yes, we use the best in class LLMs in a combination. Sometimes we'll use different ones. But the big difference is Loxo's built our own proprietary AI for the last since 2013, 14. We have our own knowledge graph. We have our own data pipelines. We have our own infrastructure. So because we've built that, and because we have teams that are constantly fine-tuning and improving the data, it's now improving really rapidly. So this is not the end all be all. The more you use Loxo and lean into it and give us feedback, we're learning from all of our customers, the faster our team is improving this, and it's really exciting. So keep that in mind. And by this time next year, with all the new AI capabilities we roll out in here, I think you'll be making way more placements per recruiter than you ever have. So that's our goal. But back to the example, this would be very difficult. Again, you could copy and paste the JD, which we'll show you, but let's just like start high level. And I want the AI to do the work for me and go out and find a senior product manager who's brought to market a mobile app over 1 million installs. And again, a lot of you get the purple squirrel searches from your hiring managers and clients. And it's like, well, great. They want everything under the sun. So like I have to put all the must-have requirements. When you put in must-haves, that cuts everybody out. A lot of people don't have the must-haves. So you want to start with as broad of a net as you possibly can. That's really important. Everything we do, we don't want to ever cut people out. Our job is to create relevancy. And relevancy is the name of the game for NLS. And we have different algorithms that will help you identify and rank people and relative to that specific hiring manager. But NLS is about relevancy. Relevancy means who's the most relevant, giving the prompt that you're giving me. And again, the secret sauce that Loxo is doing behind the scenes, not only is it unbelievably effective at that, and it's getting better, but the things that we do and infuse into our algorithms are actually compounding that. And one of the bigger differences, we're the only company that you can actually use your own database. So show your own internal database, it's on by default, even if you were only using this on your own database. But why would you do that when you can get access to 1.2 billion people in addition to your own database in one interface? And it's searching all of that within seconds. It took a little bit of time. So those of you who are wondering, it takes a little bit of time because we are using the highest end algorithms and reasoning models to go through and truly understand and return results that are most relevant. So let's see how we did, right? I didn't give it a lot to go off of. This is powerful. Watch. We'll take a look at the first candidate. So senior product manager, you've got to be kidding me. The very first result, develop product roadmap strategy for an app that has over 1.5 million monthly users. That's the very first most relevant result. That is unbelievable. And in order, if I would have done a Boolean search, I would have done 1 million. This person wouldn't have popped up. And he also uses monthly instead of annual or installs. We would have missed this candidate. So that is the problem with filters, and that is the problem with Boolean. We would have missed an unbelievable candidate here. So whoops. I'll zoom out here really quick. Sorry about that. So again, along with the workflow, for those of you who are excited about other solutions, now you have to figure out a disjointed workflow to get candidates into your system, and it's about speed. So a lot of these you might not know yet. You want to dig in deeper, but this candidate, you're all recruiters. You can take a quick look. You understand if it's a good fit. Mid-career stage, looks incredible, has some entrepreneurial DNA. Guy might be incredible. So you could jump ahead and say yes. For the purposes, I'm just going to long list and say maybe. Next candidate, you go in here and you can continue to screen. And what you're seeing is the other part of our technology that's mind-blowing is it goes through every piece of text in our data as well as yours in your own isolated database, uh, everywhere, every piece of text. So even like as you're adding more intake notes, or you're learning about candidates, the more data that you do, and this is why you'll run circles around recruiters that are using legacy solutions, they're not going to have access to this technology. And as it compounds, if you assess a lot of product managers and you're putting in, the notes and tags and skills that they've, brought to market, mobile platforms at high scale, like, this would pop up as well. So keep that in mind. Each one of these candidates you're going to see, here's another one. So led teams, we'll go through a bunch of these just to show you guys where this might be surfacing. Led iOS and Android for Ticketmaster apps. So while this might not necessarily call out because this person is not knowing that that's how you're going to search, the fact that they've built and brought to market and both iOS and Android on Ticketmaster is clearly over 1 million, because you could look up how many installs they have and it's clearly over. So the NLS is going through data, it's understanding everything as information retrieval, and it's reasoning and it's recommending the most relevant results for you. You would miss this person over and over and over. So the thing I also want to say is, obviously we all understand how this is the most time-consuming part of recruitment. Some people outsource this sourcing, and outsourcing sourcing, you're then relying on somebody else. Some people have specialized teams that just source and build long lists. That's okay as well, but they need to be systematic. And what I recruit all the time. I spent 18 months in the early stages of Loxo learning how to recruit. We've done this. I've recruited every type of role across our company, probably involved in 90% of the hires for the first 50 employees. I understand the pain and the challenges you all face, and I've tried all of these. We just really struggled with a customer success role, which I'll show you, and the approach we took, and we actually ended up hiring, our team probably interviewed, of the crazy volume of applicants and submittals and referrals, we probably interviewed at least 50 or 100 people for these roles across Europe and US. And one of the final candidates we actually just hired, I found through using our NLS, and I wouldn't have found him without that. Because of filters are really restrictive, and because of Boolean is really difficult, especially for a role like customer success. So you can see here the search. I'm not going to go through every result. People fall asleep. But what I would encourage you to do is play with this. And the key to natural language search is you're going to have to test. I'll kind of recommend an approach, a best practice approach at the end of this. But you're going to want to test and learn for your own niche and understand how you do this. But time and time again, it's the most relevant results. And we can't wait, because we think you're going to fall in love with identifying candidates that your hiring managers miss themselves, that other recruiters that have the same requisition, if it's contingent, then they're going to be doing legacy things and you're not. And we'll see it. If you go back to the workflow, if you spend an hour, it's not a lot of time, 1 hour to go through and methodically long list, get around 300-ish people. If they're really effective, highly relevant people for that search, you should have your candidate in there, and it depends on the role, of course. And you're seeing other algorithms in Loxo. I'm not going to go over this. This is a different one. But in Loxo, there's tons of AI. So a lot of companies in the market are saying they're AI platform, they're AI this. All they're doing, and a big differentiator with Loxo and them, is they are a wrapper on top of ChatGPT. And it's relying on the entire company, where, again, we've been building this forever. We can push and other metadata and hundreds of billions of parameters into ours, and that's why it's so relevant. It's only going to get better because of that. So one of these also shows you that candidates are also highly ready to transition to their next role. So if I reach out to Kurt, super high probability that Kurt's going to be not only excited about this role because we're looking for somebody with his experience, but he's also ready in his career at the magical 18 months-ish, right? 18 months is magical for people to look for a new role internally or externally. We're helping our customers make more placements faster in lots of ways. Keep that in mind. Workflow, and it's about multiple tools as you go through your workflow. So what I would recommend is do the search, consider using natural language search, and go through a few pages, go through the few pages of every candidate and start to long list or short list. If they're not a good fit, that's okay. You can hide them for that search or future searches so they don't pop up. But as you do, you're starting to build your pipeline, and you're also training your own mental model, which is half the battle in recruitment. Is the more profiles you look at, which is what AI is doing, the more you train your own, you know, your own brain for who the best fit is for your client. So you just have to have a tool that is most relevant, and you're not hunting and pecking. These are in order of most relevant. Saves so much time and uncovers candidates you'll miss. So I want to show you something. There's a couple approaches that you could take. Again, if you're recruiting and you're looking, a lot of you do this. I would recommend this as a best practice for competitive target companies market mapping. So let's say that, and I'm going to circle back to the NLS, don't worry. So Bullhorn, let's just type in some companies here. So here's some competitors, and I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And so now you have this target company list. So as a step in your 1 hour that you invest to source for these products or new projects or jobs that you're working on, you can just do a search with target companies. It's a good step. So get a target list of competitors from your hiring manager or clients. And it's a great way to start there is just as potential candidates and retain search, live and breathe this as you build a market map. So for those of you who never knew that Loxo had that, it makes it extremely efficient to quickly run through potential candidates from your competitive set. So like you could put every single competitor in here, and you could really quickly go through anyone who looks relevant for a customer success manager. So that's one approach. But then again, the next approach would be I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm just going to hit start with AI. We're going to try this again. Hopefully there we go. All right. So now it's going to run, and now it populates results again based on my intent. So again, and this is, well, we'll go through the results rather than me. I'll show versus tell. So McKinsey, this is an unbelievable result for those of you. McKinsey was a star here. It's funny that she pops up. Mary is actually here, so this is how accurate it is. So as you go, Jasleen was formerly at Loxo. She's moved on to a bunch of different companies. This is how accurate it is. Sarah was an absolute original founding CSM member. So what I would do here with the results is all I would do is go to company, but this is how accurate it is. Literally the first most relevant or in our team. So, and we could build this as a feature if you want. But what I would do is just do not Loxo. So that's one of the ways to iterate as you go in your results. So not Loxo, current or past, and I could just do current if I wanted to, in case you want some rebound hires or boomerang hires. But now, again, these are the most relevant. And you saw how accurate it was. It doesn't get more accurate when it is handpicking the best of the best of the best CSMs that we've had. And now I can go through these and start to understand the intent. So let's see what my intent was. Customer success with expertise in recruitment and change management. So that's really difficult to do, but again, with the intent, you can start to pull it out. So risk management, project management, obviously customer success, they have it all over the place. Developed, implemented onboarding process, engagement strategies, life cycle. And I'm sure there's lots of stuff in here for recruitment. Let's see next. And again, these are not like average. I asked the system to find the best ones, which again, it's finding incredibly capable and talented team members directly led our fastest growing onboarding team. Let's see, I'll just type in recruiting, see if it pops up. Yeah, all over the place, right? So these type of candidates, I don't have to type in all different Boolean and every single possible permutation. It just does it for us. So I'm going to show you a couple more in this and how it works. But now you're starting to get the hang of it, hopefully just the understanding of how powerful this is. And I just typed in recruiting just to see, so that might even be wrong, but you could do exec search or recruiter as well just to see this, but it's going to populate in here. So this obviously candidate worked in a recruitment company, which is perfect. We want individuals who have background in some type of recruitment organization so that they've lived in your shoes, they can articulate it better to our customers. So you saw one technique. A lot of you might not know this, but within these filters, you could add different companies and mark them out. So use the filters. Be careful with filters again, though, because they're kind of binary. So if you say that you have to have candidates within a certain range, it's going to be precise. So these filters are great if that's a mission critical requirement. Maybe your client doesn't want, maybe they don't have the budget for super experienced CSMs, right? And so, but then try to get a CSM that has recruitment background, and you still get a massive, massive list, right? An unbelievably massive list, but recruitment background and change management and business transformation. So anyway, the results, hopefully you understand, they speak for themselves. You're getting most relevant results, right? Senior customer success managers within certain competitor of the sourcing, right? From HireEasy. You'll get some more of these, and our algorithms again detect and rank and recommend by relevancy. So that shows you a couple techniques, and then I'll jump onto the last one here, and then I'll talk about the best practices in general. So let's see, we're gonna do the one I kind of wanted to mention about on the that our team really, really struggled with. So this one's a very technical role. It goes to AI and as we all know, the heyday of the 2021s of tech, software engineers' salaries were skyrocketing, and it was really difficult to get engineers. Now, not as much so, but at the speed and where AI is going, there's certain types of engineers that are in super high demand. Those of you in tech understand this. And this was probably one of the hardest, besides CTO and founding machine learning engineers and stuff like that. This is one of the hardest I've ever worked on. Our team really struggled. I spent more time on this search than I have on any one in 5 years. And I failed at it. I could not find the candidate. I found great candidates, but they wouldn't respond, which we all struggle with. But the ones that did started to respond at a much higher rate than anyone else on our team. Our other team couldn't get anybody to respond. And what happened though is I kept going back to our hiring managers and I asked them, like, give me specifics. What skill sets do they absolutely have to have? And they didn't know, because a lot of your hiring managers you work with, they're not experts in every role. And if they're evergreen roles or searches that are pretty simple and straightforward, they've done before, a lot of you are working for high growth companies. Their hiring managers are not experts. They're coming to you to help them do that. And you're not all going to be experts, especially junior engineers. The job description can be off. It might be too restrictive. So one thing you can do besides just in this one is like, what am I going to look for? I've tried everything. I'm going to show you a couple approaches. But what this does is we've used a whole different machine learning and AI team. We've worked with our product design team to come up with this. We've worked really hard to deliver better results for our customers so that you get the right candidates for any search. And this, when we did this was mind-blowing and eye-opening. It actually came up with, again, it goes on the intent and it does it for me. It doesn't mean in Boolean you're going to cut people out. It goes to massive storage and data pipelines and infrastructure and orchestration. You're going to see the word Kubernetes in here. That if I gave that to any engineering leader, they would say, oh my God, yes, that's exactly what we're looking for, right? And so now you could go back and you could share that with them. And if you want another best practices, you could add in more keywords in here. So like, that's why if you copy paste a JD right here, it's fine. Or if you added in, let's say we want a distributed systems engineer who also had recruitment experience, you'd never do that. But if you really wanted it, you could put that here and then it would understand the intent versus having to come up with a Boolean string of like exec search or recruitment or staffing, right? And so that's why you would do that. So again, you have to use your brain on the strategy and getting it right up front. And if you do that, then the rest of it within an hour, you guys, you should be able to find 300 candidates in pipeline really fast. Not only that, you add them to your database. That's the long list. If you market map and you do your you go to your competitors or ask your hiring managers who their competitors are. You really quickly get a great list. Your hiring managers love to look at that. It's good data to show them anyway, which we'll show you. It automatically builds it. But as you do this, again, it's relevancy and recommends. And that was transformational for our team. Every candidate I showed our VP of engineering and team, they're like, oh my God, these candidates are exactly what we're looking for, the exact experience. They've worked at big companies in uh, the most data intensive companies on the planet for building distributed systems. You can't get a junior engineer who's never worked at that. So it's just candidate after candidate after candidate is unbelievable. And again, it finds ones that you would miss if you're just looking for certain companies that have done that. It looks through everything they have, and it's really exciting. So again, just start to long list. And if you see a pattern and maybe you're not allowed to, or you're not going to get candidates from Netflix because they pay $1 million per distributed engineer, then you can just, again, use your company filter and lock out companies you don't want results to show up for. So you could just say not Netflix, not Tesla. And now you're methodically fine-tuning your search as you go. And then again, it's all about workflow. So now keep going, go back through your workflow and long list until you build a giant pipeline. Well, let me just touch on the best practices. So best practice would be start your search, understand if it's the right tool to do the job. If it's very ambiguous, NLS is unbelievable. It helps you with intent. I would always recommend to consider, you want to get to the outcome as fast as possible. But the more you do this, the more you lean into it. Your team is not leaving to go outside to other third-party tools. They're not getting distracted. They're just focused to source and build that long list. You're going to get your candidate in there if you have a good source or recruiter that really is methodical about it, goes page by page. NLS works really good. The next step, when you get too many results, you can filter down by getting rid of certain things or refining it with specifics that your client does say are must have, or use Boolean. So say, for example, Kubernetes is mission critical. Let's do it. And now it's going to rerun and you're going to get those precise results. Keep in mind though, that Boolean is 100%, they have to have it. So it really cuts down results, but it's a good option. So that's the best practice. And then the last one is what I would recommend for customer partners, especially as you're getting used to this. Test this. And the best way to do it is test in real time on searches you're doing. Start with NLS, do that based on what your intent. You write in your own words, your own natural language words. Then test using it right with AI. And that will be our, oh, I have to put in a title for it and company. So yeah, I'll just do a controller. And so it's using our knowledge graph that we've spent years and years and years building. And it takes all of this and does the work for you. It does research behind the scenes. It understands. It comes from an outcome-based hiring model, which creates best-in-class hiring models based on specific job tasks and outcomes that they would have to do for this type of company industry role. And so when you get hyper relevant results, it's not just some random snippet going out to OpenAI. Again, it's hand-built, custom coded, have super smart engineers constantly optimizing this, and it gets better and better. So I love the Write with AI. It does really good intent, but keep in mind it can be, sometimes you'll get, just test it. You'll get very different results from using that versus a job description versus Boolean filters in the traditional ways. But test all of them, do it on a search, spend an hour, fine tune it, build your long list of 300, 400 people. You should get your hire from that. If you are very methodical and you have a team and you also do competitive company target list building, you expand that list. It takes a bit more time, but I personally, in our company, we don't just want to hire the first one. It's like easy to do post and pray, or easy to get somebody who's, once you start interviewing, everyone kind of likes them and you kind of get a good hire. But then the job and the passion and the vocation of professional recruitment is find the very best possible hire every time. When you do that, you make more placements, your clients are happier, your hiring managers are happier, they come back, you expand your business, your reputation to become known for it. And the more searches you do in a space, then you can start, you truly have first principle knowledge. You can tell everyone you own that niche, and you're going to do it faster and faster and faster because of the system learns, it gets more relevant from you and your data. And that's the magic of the system all in one workflow. So I know we didn't touch on workflow, but that's for another day. I hope I demonstrated through three specific examples, a couple options, some takeaways. Please use it, try it, give us some feedback. And we can't wait to see what you think and hear about your successes. Thank you all so much. All right.
Amazing. We have some questions for you, Matt. And one of them, I accidentally clicked on answer live, so we do need to answer it live, but I know the answer is already yes, which is, can I use a language other than English in NLS?
Did you already respond to that one?
Well, I had said a bit to answer it live, so yeah, just to confirm that it is yes, you can speak in or type in any language that you would like to, right? Because it's done by Chrome. You confirm.
Let's do this really quick.
I tested it with French just now with my GCSE level French, which
You should be able to. Our normal search inside Loxo, the way it works is you can search into French. Keep in mind, yes, Loxo, it's information retrieval. It is going to work with the data you have in your database. It's going to pull data that is in that native language you're looking for. So, for example, if you're in in DAC region and all of your CVs are in German, and you want to search in German in the Loxo database, it's going to pull that up. In terms of NLS and running through the engine, let's see if we can do this really quick. I'll just take the same search and slap it in here. So I would do so we'll let that run for a second while it goes through reasoning, and we will learn together. But yeah, great question. And if it doesn't work in every language, please let us know what language you're in, and we can always take a look at that and let you all know. But yeah, we'll find out here pretty quick.
yeah. And the best way to let us know is reaching out to support@loxo.co or your dedicated CSM. So we've got some other questions coming through just while that's working. So one question that we had was, we had this actually come up a few times and it's had 7 thumbs up to it. So they're asking, can we tell NLS to avoid people who change jobs, also known as job hoppers, every 1.5 to 2 years? What would be your advice for people who want to avoid candidates who move quickly?
Yeah, good question. So that's actually an unbelievable use case. And so yes, it does work in different languages, at least in French. So that's, yeah, again, it's remarkable you can do that and gives you great results. So, that's how far this is advancing and how quickly. In terms of modifying this, I'm going to get rid of this and just say, find controllers who are not job hoppers and stay in a controller role at a SaaS company, scaling from 100 million to 500 million, and have tenure of 5 years. So you could do something like that.
Mhm.
And then rerun the search. And then again, it's all about relevancy. So yes, absolutely. Now, the thing with relevancy is the difference with filters that you have. So if you recruit in that and it's really important to you and always do filters, they're going to be very strict and again, strict or binary. So you might already have that tenure. We have one as well right here for you. So if that's super important, I would just use that instead. But it is going to go through the results and it's going to try to find results, but again, it's not going to be as binary as this. It might be the first one or heavily skew, and it weights candidates maybe more on some other things. So that's when you might want to use these. But we could take a look at adding more capabilities like that. But I would recommend to use something like this in that circumstance.
Yeah, great, amazing. Another question that's had 7 upvotes is from Erin, and it says, when it goes through, I think this is what you were referring to earlier, when it goes through every piece of data, does that include attachments that are uploaded on candidates within our own database? And
Yeah, good question. So the intent here for Loxo and where we go with getting it to run effectively and quality of results are the most important. So yes, we want it to be instantaneous, but even Grok and these other systems, the reason why they have a light one or a faster version is because it shortcuts things. It's way less expensive for these systems to run versus when you really go deep and think and reason, go through everything, it's going to take a really long time. So and we also have to build our own infrastructure. We have your own data and Loxos. It's doing a lot. So I don't think it does the attachment yet, but for us, our goal is to every single thing about you add to a candidate, everything, any documents you add, your intake. If you're starting to use our new AI note taker meetings, as you take AI note taker, it's going to auto populate all of this, all of the learning, all of the knowledge. This is the AI system that will learn and it'll populate the most relevant results. And this data is mission critical. So that is why you're going to have such a huge competitive advantage. You won't have to rely on Boolean or filters anymore. So great question.
fantastic. Amazing. So we have a question asking about target company field is not displayed in Loxo Source when you're searching an existing job. Does that make sense? So I think when a job's already open,
Yeah. Yep.
they're wanting the target company field.
Yeah. So when we first built Loxo Source, we again of all products, and those of you who've been with Loxo for a long time, we hear all the time feedback. People are really cheering us on. We're all in this together, and how excited they are, and how blown away they are at how much we've progressed lately, especially in a lot of these data heavy and AI capabilities. But when we first built it, we just put Loxo Source over here. It was just in the people grid. And you source your own isolated database, just like any traditional ATS CRM. The search capabilities, hopefully you all know. When you're searching up here, I recommend, like Boolean will go through everything. So this is extremely precise. That searches through every keyword in your database, in CVs, resumes, you name it. It's lightning fast in here, but it's just your database. So that was the original part when we added Loxo Source. Initially, this was our data. So if you have access to that, it's 1.2 billion people from the open web, all public data. This is, you can search through here and it's our data. You also have access to do your own internal database if that's on by default, but you're not going to have the target companies here. It's more, when we built it was more for market mapping and doing it on a controlled search where there's context and it would make more sense. So even if you don't want to, if you have a project or a pipeline, you can always create a generic project. You could fill it in as like, hey, you're looking for controllers in each city. And when you go into it again, if you want, and you have all of the different, you have all of the different, competitors in that market. So like, I don't know, sometimes people really recruit heavily in management consulting firms or something, you could do that. But again, if your search firm or agency or you do this and you have workflows that are really important, you let us know. That's how we're evolving with our customer input. So we could add things like this really easily, especially if we already have it.
Right. And then this is a great one, I think, for you to maybe even test out live like you have been, which is from Victoria. And she said, a lot of my clients want candidates that have experience with successful or high growth startups. Is there a way to filter for that using NLS? So it was successful or high growth startups.
Definitely. So yeah, again, I think you'll be blown away by the NLS. So you could do controller. Actually, yeah. So just, again, type in natural language and just take the time. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be precise. It's a new skill and it's a new way of doing things, but take the time and try different options. That's amazing. The way that you would have approached this a couple years ago before LLMs have advanced to the point they have, which is also kind of why we waited. LLMs used to just kind of predict. It's just you have a lot of hallucinations, which means they're very confident. And so everyone's freaking out that OpenAI is going to solve recruiting or not, but it's just looking at text, a massive database of history of text, and it's predicting what's going to come next. The reasoning logic and the advanced AI is why it's finally getting to a point where it's getting better. But when you enter this search, it's not hallucinating. It's not going to do that. It's coming up with your intent. So yes, you can put in whatever you want in here, again, or copy paste the JD. You could put a Boolean in here, but it wouldn't do the same thing that Boolean does. This is all about intent. So when you do that, it will find them. And again, the way that you would do that in the past is companies would have to build power filters, essentially. So you'd have to go identify all the high growth companies and always maintain that, keep it up to date. Companies come in and out. And so that's really difficult to build power filters and maintain those. So this just kind of bypasses the need to do that. And that's built with our knowledge graph and the ability to go look at data and companies in real time. For those of you who don't know, we have our own company data set. So if you go into it, it's looking at companies as well. It understands all the stuff, what rounds they are. It factors all of that in. And you can even take a look at like all of the companies in here, and you could actually add these from lists from here. So anyway, but hopefully that answers their question.
Yeah, great, thank you. This one is Emma's asking, is it possible to like either have NLS ignore the job title that you put in, because she's saying that she doesn't want the results that come up to be the same as the job title that is inputted, if that makes sense. I'm not sure what the use case is, but that is the question.
Yeah, great question. Actually, I love that you asked that. There's no dumb questions ever. And that's how we all learn and improve. Some people didn't even know you could do not and exclude right there. And we have some unbelievable new AI capabilities and filters coming here very soon, which we're super excited by. Again, just new tools, new approaches to get to the right candidates faster, depending on the search. But yeah, if you say no controller, that immediately knocks them out.
Okay, so the way to do it would be to, do the standard natural language search, and then come into here and then put that job title into the kind of crossed off section, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And the way we've approached it, you have to enter a title. Location's nice to have because location's binary generally. People either have to be within a commutable distance or they can be hybrid or remote. And so location's a good way to wean it down from hundreds and hundreds of millions of people to reasonable geography. That's still way too many candidates. But yeah, when you exclude titles here, you can do it. If I'm not excluding, what you'll find is our algorithms actually are going off of your intent. And so it's not going to only show you controllers. And so that's something that's important to know when you do the NLS. If I reset this though, and I just bypassed and I didn't do NLS and I just enter in a title, then it'll only show you that specific title.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's not too confusing, but if I want to see only controllers or up and coming like senior account managers, and we'll have some AI capabilities that will do this for you automatically, so you don't have to worry about it. But I could just say, I just want to see, both of those options. If I didn't run the NLS, and it would only show you what you enter in the filters. Again, filters are extremely restrictive. So I would turn this off or on. But I would have to first not enter the NLS.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think we are basically hitting time now. I think it's exactly 5 o'clock. So I'll hand it back over to Sandra. Thank you so much, Matt, for answering all those questions.
Yeah, no, it was my pleasure. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day and week. Thanks for joining.
Thanks everyone for coming. Keep an eye out for more Loxo webinars coming up soon. So have a great day.